Because space is so huge, we're bringing it down to Earth by scaling the distances in our solar system down to the size of the continental United States. My name's Colonel Chris Hadfield. I've logged almost 4,000 hours in space. I've flown through it, I've walked in it, I've even sung in it. But now I'm driving it.
Retired astronaut and first Canadian to walk in space, Commander Chris Hadfield wants to take you on that cosmic road trip across the solar system. In his new documentary, it's called Miniverse. Please welcome Canadian astronaut Chris Hadfield is back on the team.
Good morning. Good morning.
You're always doing things in such a creative and entertaining way for all ages. This included. Break down what Miniverse is.
Yeah, this was a lot of fun. There's some really cool discoveries going on across the solar system right now, all the way out to Pluto. I mean, Pluto, there's a big heart on it, and it might have more water on Pluto than on Earth. But how do you get people to really know the solar system? And we thought, what if you stuck the sun right on the East Coast and Pluto right out on the tip of the Santa Monica Pier on the West Coast, and then you drove across the States? It's an American show. How long would it take, to get to Mercury? And what's cool is, by the time you get to the end of Long Island, you've already passed Mercury and Venus and Earth, and you have Mars over Manhattan.
That's so cool.
And so then you think, wow, that's how big it really is. And so I got in this very cool car, a Tesla, drove across the U.S., had visiting people riding shotgun with me, some physicists and astronomers, and it was a lovely way to actually think about the reality of where we live.
And a fun day, because you break it down into layman's terms, because it's just too big for us to grasp, right? Which is why I love that you have scaled it down this way. Who are some of the people? Did you go about choosing who would be in this sort of carpool karaoke setting with you in the car?
The company that put together is called Curiosity Stream. It's kind of a new television way of delivering a bunch of documentaries. You get it directly to whatever you're watching TV on. But they suggested a bunch of names. So I worked with Michio Kaku, who's a pretty interesting physicist on the East Coast, a guy named Derek Pitts, who's an astronomer in Philly, and then Laura, who's an astronomer out in this observatory, the Griffith Observatory out in Los Angeles. And they were really different people and fun. And it's a cool way to drive across the country with someone sitting next to you who knows all sorts of stuff that you don't. And it's sort of like, I don't know, Cash Cab or any of those driving carpool karaoke or something like that. Carpool karaoke without the singing is sort of what it is. But it was fun.
What do you hope we all take from this? Because, like I said, it really is catered to any and everyone, right?
It's for all ages, but I think when someone mentions Jupiter or Saturn, when we find that there's water spurting from one of the moons of Saturn and maybe there's life out there, it doesn't mean much to people, because the scale is just so big. Billions and billions doesn't mean anything.
Yeah.
But if you put it in the context of something you're familiar with, then you realize this is actually an extension of home. This is how big it is. This is how far apart. This is the difference between these planets, that there's solid ice on Mercury, and it's hotter on Venus than it is on Mercury. And just getting to know the neighborhood we all live in, I think it's an entertaining way to look at it. And it's just fun to have a conversation like that, driving a car as cool as a Tesla across the continent.
My husband wants one, so maybe one day. Also, we noticed the gear that you're wearing. If you could stick around, we're going to get into your connection to our lease.
Right.
Your great-grandfather trained them.
He did.
And so many other fun little pieces of trivia you maybe didn't know about Commander Hadfield. Make sure you check it out. The documentary is called Miniverse, and breakfasttelevision.ca has the link on where you can see it. We'll talk in a little bit. Right now, over to you, Kev.